We have joining us via Zoom Dr. Padi Iyamu, who's the Commissioner of Education in Edo State. He joined us via Zoom from Benin City. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Let me talk to you about the Safe Schools Initiative in Edo State. What are some of the interventions that have been put in place by the Safe Schools Initiative to protect the schools in your state?
Okay, good morning once again. Thank you very much. Although we are thankful to the government, at least shows their responsive attitude to in regards to the peculiar situation that we find ourselves. So for us in Edo State, it's very simple. The governor has made it clear that we have to secure, our children across all the senatorial zones in Edo State. One of the ways we are doing that is the compulsory, implementation of the parameter fencing across all our schools. If you come to all the schools that we are working on remodeling, reconstructing now, you see that we have parameter fencing. Because if you don't have the perimeter fence in place, it will be easy for intruders to just walk in casually to carry out any dastardly act. We're also strengthening the SBMCs across our schools, the schools-based management committees. Because you will agree with me that crime thrives when we have internal collaborators. So these challenges that we are facing in the country is as a result of maybe the complacency of people in the community where those activities take place. So when we have people come in from the host communities to strengthen the security architecture, it makes it easier. Because the people that are coming to those schools pass through the communities, They don't just vanish into those schools. They pass through the communities.
Commissioner, we'll get to that in a bit, because, I can understand where you're coming from, the conversation around how it even happened in the first place. But I want to go back to the Safe Schools Initiative. You mentioned a lot of things that have been happening, the perimeter fencing and improved security. Are these interventions just by the state government, or was the Safe School Initiative employed in any of these interventions that you just mentioned?
Well, I'm talking basically about what we are doing as a government, in Edo State. The safety and the lives of all the children, matters. And you must put strategies in place to make sure that, as the name implies, the safe school, keep the school safe. So that what we are doing as a government.
Okay, so to be clear, these are interventions that are being done by the state government. It has nothing to do with the Safe Schools Initiative, which brings me to the question about that initiative. Does it exist in Edo State?
Well, I think it exists, but I think we, as a state government and as a people, we must, because we are the locals. Bringing somebody from outside, it shows the responsiveness of the government, the federal government, but those that are in the states also have to synergize to make it easier and to make the process seamless. So as the Safe School Initiative is in progress, it's in place, but we as the state government, we are taking the lead to ensure that the implementation is total.
That's a very interesting point. We'll get to that shortly. Now, you were talking about, how these invasions happen in the first place. And, you alluded to the communities where these bandits pass through to get to the schools that they, take all these children from. However, many people have pointed to security in the state itself. The communities, in many cases, and this is an explanation people have given, many communities find themselves in a situation where they cannot exactly, take the kind of action that you're asking them to take, because many of those communities are attacked when they speak up about strange people in their neighborhoods. They're not protected when they blow the whistle on all of these sorts of situations. So many of them just keep quiet. In fact, some communities even welcome them, because they have a situation where they don't want to die. They don't feel protected by government at their level. So that's the explanation that many people have given. What do you think about that? In places where kidnappings have happened recently, do you feel like security presence was sufficient to protect the communities and catch the bandits when they operate?
Okay, very valid. But I will again reiterate that, if you look at the chronology of what happened and what we heard, they said someone gave the order that the security should evacuate, and the school was attacked. If we have, the locals, as I earlier mentioned, if we have the locals, as part of the security architecture, trained, and I was glad when I saw on social media that even the president is now saying that we should start the implementation of state police. These are practical steps that will help us as a people. And again, just like we tell our people in Edo State, this is the time where we need these community heads the most. The local government chairmen now have autonomy. The autonomy is not for them to collect money and go and sleep. If someone is coming from Abu, there's a committee set up and we have security men, they don't understand the peculiarity of the environment, like the locals. So this is a time where the local government chairman, the community heads, they have to sit up. If you are giving money to secure your territory. We have several meetings from time to time where the governor reiterates that everyone, as the saying goes, it takes a good village to raise a child. It's a collective responsibility. So people should not just putting fingers to the president. Oh, the president has taken his children from schools. Oh, the president has done this. President has done. No. You have a role. You can't be going smiling to the bank every month, collecting three times what you have been collecting before, and going to sleep. Then when it's time to point finger, you are pointing finger to someone else. That's why in our state, the governor is very particular. It's serious. Governance is serious business. If you are not ready, you take the bank, you take the door and go out. So these are the practical steps in clear terms. We have to ensure that the local governments are more responsive. The community heads, the village heads, you must, because the children we are talking about are not children of the president.
Yes,
they are children.
They're children from the community.
The children from the community.
I want to get your thoughts on this, the probe that is being pushed for by the Senate. Because I've listened to you talk. A lot of the things that you said have been done to protect schools in Edo State were done by the state government. And I asked you about the presence of the Safe School Initiative. You said, oh, it's there, but you didn't point out any of the things that the Safe School Initiative has done, despite the fact that over the years, the Safe School Initiative has been collecting money. So I want to ask you, do you think that the Safe School Initiative should be probed the way the Senate is asking that it should be?
Well, yes, of course. There must be accountability, there must be equity, in every system. And even in that, in going forward, what I will advise is that some of the state governments, or the state government, as it were, should be part of that plan, the Safe School Initiative plan. Bringing somebody from Imo or Kano to be implementing may not be 100% productive. So we must inculcate, bring the state government, and the drivers, the community, the local government must be part of that implementation unit, so that we can get the maximum result that we seek.
Honorable Commissioner, I'm glad that you're speaking with us this morning, even though I know that you're relatively new in office. And, but I want to also imagine that you're not new in the country. And as such, you might have been following this development, especially with the beat, or the sector that you have now been given to man, which is this sector on education. And now we see that our schools are under attack. I just want to bring up this report I see right here on the front page of the Punch newspaper. So just in case you might want to, cast your mind to it when you do have the time, it takes us back to the history of the launch of the Safe Schools Initiative. It was done in 2014, as my colleague rightly pointed out, with an initial pledge of $10 million. From what we understand, it was supposed to have been funded, yes, by states, there's a federal, state, and donor contributions. Now, the Punch newspapers is reporting that this program has largely been underfunded as a result of states unwilling to meet their own counterpart funding. And if I'm to glean from what it is that you have said so far, it appears that state governments are not comfortable with the structure of the Safe Schools Initiative. And perhaps this might inform their reluctance to want to, contribute their own quota towards this particular program. Is that correct?
So, like, what if you listened when I was talking? In Edo State, I'm going to talk about my state. In Edo State, the governor is fully funding any, idea or program that will ensure that the children in Edo State are safe. So for Edo State, I don't think funding, as it were, for funding activities to safeguard our schools is a problem, because there's no school the governor has built without a perimeter fence. That's the first thing he will even tell you, that there must be perimeter fencing in those schools so that the children can be safe. And in terms of the education sector, I think we are doing quite well. That's why we are recording.
There are two different things, Honorable Commissioner. There are two different things. I mean, it's one thing for a state government to build schools and decide that every school that they build, they'll fence. It's another thing for them to contribute to a central funding meant to keep schools across the country safe. Has Edo State been a part of that program, to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, fully.
So when was the last time the counterpart funding was paid from the Edo State government to that program, and how much was paid?
Okay, just as you mentioned, we are new in office. It's just 1 year. Whenever, the governor is required to contribute, just like we have in the UBEC, if you take the UBEC counterpart funding program into account, we have contributed over 4 billion naira there. So on this Safe School Initiative program, I think I do not have the figures, but I know that if it has to do with the safety of our children, the governor does not think twice.
Okay, because I'm seeing here that the program is supposed to be backed by 144.8 billion financing plan for the years 2023 to 2026. And of course, as I did mention, it's supposed to rely on federal, state, and donor contributions. But they are reporting here that only a fraction of the funds have been released, and state co-funding remains inconsistent. So we'll be very grateful if you can keep us up to speed with, how much the Edo State government has been able to contribute so far, and when the last contribution to this funding was made.
Okay, as I said, it's the same question you just asked. As I said, the governor is just 1 year in office, but I cannot give you figures now, that from my head, let me use that statement. But I can assure you that the default for the defaulting states, those states will not be part of it in this last 1 year, because we have done quite a lot, and we are still doing a lot as we speak.
You mentioned UBEC. Can you give us the figures for UBEC?
No, we have paid over 4 billion. Yes.
So you have the figures for UBEC?
Yes.
But not the Safe Schools Initiative?
No.
All right, Honorable Commissioner. So
for the objectives, the objectives of the Safe School Initiative, we are already fully implementing it as far as we know. Yeah.
So what we see here, I mean, the pattern that we've seen is that these terrorists go after schools. It doesn't matter whether they are private or they're government-owned. They've gone after government-owned schools. They've gone after private schools. In Niger State, the school that was attacked was an institution-owned school, a Catholic school, that was attacked in Niger State. And they did say that, I'm sure you must have listened to the conversation we had with his lordship, that they did try to fortify their own fences way before now. However, they still came under attack. So apart from the perimeter fencing, which the state government is, paying attention to, I want to imagine that it's not just paying attention to its own schools, it's also paying attention to private schools that could be vulnerable, particularly in rural areas. Does it also have like a separate funding for those kinds of, and it's some sort of support? Because if any attack should happen to those schools, the state government will still look inept. So is there support? There are two questions in one. Is there support for private schools that are in rural areas that you realize could be vulnerable on the one hand? And then two, what other support, apart from perimeter fencing, are you looking at in making schools safe in Edo State?
Okay, thank you very much. The first question, there is support, for those private schools. We have several programs. We even have a direct line. We have quarterly review meetings where we discuss some of the challenges and how we can step in. Then for the second question you asked, the state government, aside the perimeter fencing, I did mention the SBMCs, School-Based Management Committee, made up of the PTA, the community in which the school is located, and the principal, the head of the school, where they come together. They are the ones that run, the daily affairs of the school. They share ideas, and you will agree with me that security is all about intelligence. Even if you deploy armed men to a school, if you don't have proper intelligence in that community, it can be an effort in futility, because when they want to strike, those internally, will even sell out the security team that has been deployed. So in that regard, we have the vigilantes in various communities. We're also having dotted lines to the community heads, where those schools are located, because we are talking about the locals, especially as it relates to the rural areas. Even the village heads. Everyone has to be part of this plan, because it's a peculiar challenge that requires everyone, to contribute, as it were. So we have the perimeter fence, we have the SBMCs, we have the vigilantes, and even lately, because of what is happening in the country, the governor has also given an express instruction that we must have at least also 3 security across our schools, into manning the schools during the day and in the night. And it doesn't end there. We must have a special tactical team that will be able to respond if there's a perceived danger. But
okay.
All layers of security that have been put in place, if it's effective, they will be able to reduce the crime level to as low as reasonably practical.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, just quickly, sorry to interrupt you there. You say that there's a fund available for other vulnerable schools in rural areas, and that there's support available for them. Can you tell us if any of the schools have been able to withdraw, any money from this fund, and how much they've been able to withdraw?
Okay. Well, in my last count, I can be able to tell you categorically that I think the last school we gave support was about 3 billion naira, to one of the schools in the rural area that was passing through, a challenging time, as it requires the safety of our children. The governor is not particular about public or private. Every Edo child matters to the state government. And that's why we had a case where they were handing one of our children, and they were telling us that it's a federal girls' college. And the governor said no. Even if it's federal girls' college, the girls there are Edo girls. So we are going all out to see how we can secure our children, to the best of our ability.
Well, Dr. Padi Iyamu, I want to thank you very much. I know you have a lot of work ahead of you, protecting the schools in your state. We pray for every school, especially the ones in your state right now, that everyone is kept safe, and we do not lose our children to this business that has, really fractured our country. I want to thank you very much. Dr. Padi Iyamu is Commissioner of Education, Edo State. Join us via Zoom from Benin City. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.